Hello. If you do not know me, my name is Volts, and I love Doctor Who. But if you do know me, then you would know that I love Doctor Who based on the videos I've done throughout my channel playing Doctor Who stuff. So this video is all about me kind of going through the Doctor Who games that I've played in the past on my channel, and this sort of chapter that I'm going to be going into in just a moment is going to be like an introduction to Doctor Who if you've never heard of it or seen it or anything. So if you know about Doctor Who, if you know what it is, then you can skip the chapter on to the next one and, so on and so on. So, what is Doctor Who? Doctor Who is a science fiction show that has been around since the 1960s and has like an alien sort of man or woman or like anything really, travel throughout space and time in this sort of police box thing, and just has adventures with either by himself or with a companion with him. So how might he travel around the galaxy, around the universe? How is he able to travel? Can he just teleport around the place? No. He has this sort of machine thing, I actually just said it, police box, and it's called a TARDIS. And what TARDIS stands for is time and relative dimension in space. It's a pretty cool acronym if you ask me. I mean, we could use that acronym, time and relative dimension in space, or we could use what Peter Capaldi's Doctor, aka the 12th Doctor, and just use what he says instead.
Totally and radically driving in space.
Now, the reason why the TARDIS looks like a police box is because in the sort of 1960s, when the show began, the TARDIS has like a cloaking device thing called chameleon circuit, which makes the sort of exterior shape of the police box, of the TARDIS basically, blend in with the environment. So say, for example, the TARDIS lands in like a forest, it might disguise itself as like one of the trees, or it will disguise itself as like a rock or something like that. It just blends with the environment that it's in. So as we talked about earlier, this man or woman or whatever they can be is an alien, well, known as the Doctor, of course, and they travel around. Now, sometimes he can travel by himself. He doesn't usually do it because reasons, but he usually travels around the universe with companions. And I mean, most of the time it's just companions from like London or from the current time period, like when it's set. Like, say, Doctor Who is set in 2012, so they have a companion board their TARDIS from that year in London. I mean, they have had companions like a bloody robot android thingy. I mean, it was called Chameleon. It was only in like I think 2 episodes, which is called King's Demons and Planet of Fire, maybe. Something like that, yes. You've also had companions like a talking dog known as K9, and he is bloody amazing companions. But yeah, most of the companions are just, people from like London or whatever. But you can also get companions that are literally from like another dimension, and one of them is called Adric. By the way, this is not spoilers for the show. If you want to go find out this stuff for yourself, then go like subscribe to BritBox to get more of the classic Doctor Who stuff, or you could just get the DVDs. It's really up to you. Now, even though the Doctor, the alien that I've been talking about, he's like, or they are like a sort of wondrous being, sort of like a god in a way, but let's not think of him as a god in this example. He travels around in the universe, and like, because he's been doing it for so long, he's learnt a lot of things. he knows a lot of things, he's got this brilliant mind, wise mind, he's collected so much information throughout his universe that, like, he can basically just bring companions along and answer pretty much most of their questions. But if he doesn't know the answer, he will go looking for the answer. He is, or they are, what you call a scientist roaming about the universe. There are times though when the Doctor doesn't actually know what to do in a situation. It doesn't happen very often, which means when it does happen, it's pretty big and interesting because you're so used to the Doctor just kind of knowing what to do and is not, like, I don't know, frightened of what's going to happen. So when they are genuinely terrified and frightened, it's a pretty big deal. And you must be asking, well, you may be asking, how has this show been going on since 1960? Well, to be exact, 1963. Well, it's because they've kind of tackled everything. Well, not everything, but I mean, you've got, like, sort of emotional stuff, you've got drama in there, you've also got science fiction, but you've also got, like, horror in there and creepy stuff. You've got so much in the show, it's unbelievable, and it's just one of those shows where, like, you don't know if it will ever end, because the whole idea of Doctor Who is that you've got an alien. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. This alien known as the Doctor can change their appearance. That's why I was saying about, like, he, she, they, whatever. It's because they can change their appearance and they can look like pretty much anyone or anything. I mean, if they wanted to, they could look like a cat or something. I mean, that would be, like, ridiculous, but it's possible. But because they can change their appearance due to this sort of mechanic thing that they can do called regeneration, because they are a race of Time Lords from a planet called Gallifrey, which is, like, one of the most powerful races in all of existence. So they can actually sort of, if anything happens to the timeline, say, like, someone goes back in time to change something, the Time Lords literally come in, intervene, and fix time. That's how powerful they are. Okay, so now that I've given you the sort of, I've given you the gist of what Doctor Who is about, and it's, to be fair, it's up to you if you want to, like, watch it. I mean, I can understand why people would get turned off by the classic series, because some of it is slow, and especially, like, the first Doctor era, that's pretty damn slow. When you get to, like, third Doctor, maybe fourth Doctor, maybe even fifth Doctor, but when you get to the seventh Doctor, OMG, is absolute bangers from there on. But my favourite eras have been the third Doctor, the fourth Doctor, parts of his stuff I really, really like, the seventh Doctor, and, well, most of the modern era I love, except from series 11, 12 and 13, because they're just dog shit anyway. But now that I have completed this chapter on what Doctor Who actually is, for anyone that hasn't heard of it, we are now going on to the part where I'm going to be talking about the Doctor Who video games that I have played on the channel. I haven't played every single one of them because, God, there's so many, and I think some of them are on, like, handheld devices like PSP, DS maybe, or something like that. But I'm going to be talking about the ones that I have played on the channel, so that if you are interested in watching me play those, then I will link them down in the description, or maybe in the comments. I mean, who reads description nowadays? Now, the first Doctor Who video game that I have played on the channel is Destiny of the Doctors, and I'm not going to go into too much just yet, but let's just say most people didn't, or, well, I don't know if they do now, but most people didn't like Destiny of the Doctors because it looks more like an exhibition or museum of Doctor Who stuff, rather than actually, playing as the Doctor and doing Doctor stuff like sonicking things and battling monsters and stuff. Like, it's none of that. In Destiny of the Doctors, you play as like this sort of energy thing called Grark, and you have to save the Doctor. Well, you have to save, I think, seven of the Doctor's incarnations. So that's William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker. I almost forgot, Sylvester McCoy. So that's all 7 incarnations of the Doctor, and you have to save all of them in order to basically beat the game. And you've got the Master going against you and sort of kind of trying to plot you off course so that you don't save all of the Doctors. Well, technically speaking, he does kind of help you save the Doctors in a way, but he doesn't really help you because you have to do these difficult tasks to obtain the Doctor's soul, if you like. And the way the Master does this is by, like, transporting you into this sort of minigame where you have to do whatever you have to avoid dying and getting the Doctor's soul within this sort of hexagonal thing. So, oh no, wait, or was it diamond? I can't remember what shape it was, but it's a thing that you get. You get the Doctor's soul, you save the Doctor, and then you rinse and repeat. So that's basically what the game is. You rinse and repeat for every other Doctor until you complete the game. But I want to explain later why I love it so much. Now, there is this other game that I've played called Doctor Who: The Lonely Assassins, and this game was actually made by the same people who made Simulacra. And whilst I like their games, I did play Simulacra 2, but I didn't complete it because it felt too detective for me. Now, I don't mind sort of solving things, but if the whole game is literally about solving things, and if there's detective stuff, I want it to be in a sort of interesting way, not like constantly search for clues, because I am not a big fan of detective stuff. Unless it's done in an interesting way, I'm not a big fan of detective stuff. And what Simulacra 2 was like a... Sorry about that, someone was calling me. I was not expecting that whatsoever during this. So yeah, as I was saying, the reason why I didn't like Simulacra 2 was because it just felt too detective-like, and I couldn't enjoy it. But we're not talking about Simulacra now, we're talking about Lonely Assassins, and I did play it for a bit, obviously because I like Doctor Who. The game didn't really have anything going for me. I felt like I was satisfied with the experience after I experienced the Weeping Angels, so I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to it at some point. I mean, I kinda-ish know what's gonna happen in the game a bit, maybe. But I don't have really any desire or any interest to go back. Now, the next game I'm gonna be talking about is Doctor Who: The Edge of Reality. Now, as much as this is the newest Doctor Who game to come out recently, it's fine. I mean, I understand that that the developers were maybe tight on budget, but it felt sort of lacking in many areas. I mean, I don't think it's going to be likely that we're going to get like a really high budgeted Doctor Who game, like a AAA Doctor Who game. We're mostly going to get these sort of indie Doctor Who games. Now, I don't really mind that, but The Edge of Reality, it just felt so far. I think the best part about The Edge of Reality was maybe the Weeping Angel part and the Dalek shooting part, and also hearing David Tennant's Doctor Who through that. I can't even fucking speak now. Hearing David Tennant speak in the game, that was amazing, because there are only 2 Doctors in this game, and that is the 13th Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, and the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant. And as much as, like, I was not a fan of the sort of dialogue that Jodie Whittaker was given when she was delivering her sort of lines in this game, because it's very reminiscent of her Doctor Who on the TV screen, because she's very expository and she just constantly talks and talks and talks, and yeah, there is a tiny bit of showing of like the universe inside the TARDIS, but it's mostly just tell, and just constant exposition to like tell what's going on rather than show. Again, I know they didn't have much budget to go with, but it's not a very great game, and it doesn't look great either. And I don't want to criticize it too much, because at the end of the day, it's like an indie studio, and all they can do is all they can do, really. And because I'm trying to be an indie game developer myself, I can understand like the sort of struggles that they go through. But to be fair, when I was playing the game, I could see so many places where I could see improvements, like lighting improvements and sort of sound improvements, and just improvements to like sequences in general. The fact that the constantly repeated dialogue, constantly repeated that dialogue throughout many sequences, it just bogged, is bogged the right word? It kind of made the game go down a little bit, but I mean, since playing the game, to be fair, I don't actually know if the developers watched my videos and improved it slightly. I don't know, because I remember in one of my gameplay episodes that I criticized this sort of walking, because there's no sort of like walking sound when you're walking. Like, it doesn't sound like you're a human or companion or whatever. It just sounds like you're just a thing that's walking about, no footstep sounds. And the funny thing is, I downloaded it again recently because it got updated apparently, and I played it. There was actual footstep sounds, both walking and running. So I was kind of surprised. I don't know if they listened to my feedback or if other people criticized it and they listened to their feedback. I don't know. But I just find it surprising and kind of funny that they actually added that in. And it's kind of cool as well. So yeah. Love that. So the next game I'm going to be talking about is Doctor Who The Adventure Games. Now, the Doctor Who Adventure Games are okay. They're fine. I didn't play all of it because the controls of the game weren't great. It felt janky at times, and I don't know, it didn't feel polished. I mean, it felt a bit more fun than The Edge of Reality and Lonely Assassins, of course. It didn't feel polished. I mean, I can understand that this was also made by an indie studio and maybe they rushed it a little bit or something like that, but still, it didn't feel polished. I mean, of course it didn't look polished because, you know, the graphics are a bit but it didn't feel polished, and I mean, I did like it. I mean, one of the episodes that I really liked was TARDIS, only because we could walk around in the actual TARDIS. But what really disappointed me was that we couldn't actually walk around the full TARDIS, like, walk down corridors and corridors and corridors of, like, inside the TARDIS, and, like, exploring new rooms inside the TARDIS. Like, the only room that we could only explore in the TARDIS was this sort of room which was, important to the sort of story or plot of the episode, of which, I mean, I found a bit disappointing because it felt very limited, but I can understand it was still tight on what they could do with the game, but it is what it is, So the next game that I'm going to be talking about is Doctor Who: The Eternity Clock. And if I'm going to be honest, I can't actually say much about this game apart from the fact that it's just bad. Not only is it bad because of not being able to play it that much, because the only way I was able to play it and record it, well, you know what? Here's a clip of me trying to record it in the way that I could. Are we able to actually jump over? Come on. Hold on a minute. Can I bring this object over? Apparently I can't. Now here's a clip of me trying to record it in the original way, and it was just laggy as fuck. This audio is absolutely unbearable. Like, no one on this planet could even play a game like this. It's absolutely unbearable. And because of that, it was just a bad experience. But not just because it was laggy, but because you've got 3D environment with 2D controls. And this was on the PlayStation 3. Yes, PlayStation 3. I can understand if it was on the DS or maybe even PSP. But PlayStation 3? 2D controls? So much wasted potential. Where did it go? Where did that potential go? You had a neat idea to bring Matt Smith's Doctor, River Song, and maybe other things that I may not know about the game into that game, but you turn it into 2D. So those are all of the Doctor Who games that I've played on my channel. I might play more in the future, don't know when. I think I've got one that's currently downloaded. I can't remember what that one was, but yeah, those are the games that I've currently played on my channel, and I don't know if you've already figured it out or not, but I think you may already be able to guess which one is my favourite out of all of them. And my favourite one is... drumroll please. Was that even needed? I have no idea. But you know what? Destiny of the Doctors. So why is this game my favourite one out of every single one of them, even though it's mainly just a museum or exhibition Doctor Who game thing? Well, the reason why is because of the aesthetic the game gives, and it's been my favourite for a long time because of how creepy it feels, and it feels like a game that's sort of like hidden away on the internet, and if you download it you might get viruses, or like the deeper you go into the game, the more dark secrets you get. It's that kind of feeling, and it makes you feel kind of tense or unsettled inside. And the game looks kind of simple, but sometimes less is more, honestly. I mean, you can put so much into a Doctor Who game, but the more you put in, yeah, the less it's going to be, honestly. That's why I loved Destiny of the Doctors, because even though the graphics look bad, it adds more to the, like, what's the word, ominous feeling, or, obscure, no. It adds to that uncomfortable feeling that, like, I don't know, it's a weird type of feeling, but it's a feeling that I've got, and, I had, and I just loved it so much. And, to be fair, my least favourite Doctor Who game, well, it's a hard pick between Eternity Clock, Edge of Reality, and The Lonely Assassins. As much as I liked Lonely Assassins, the sort of aesthetic it gave, it wasn't really enough, because most of it is just, you know, quiet. I mean, you've got like phone sounds here and there and creepy sounds happening, but it's mostly just like looking around on the phone screen and just like finding information out. That's all it is, really. And as much as people do like it, yeah, it just didn't do it for me. And Edge of Reality, as much as it tried to do the best it could, which, you know what, give it merit for that. It tried its best to do a good enough Doctor Who game from a VR game. Edge of Time. Doctor Who The Edge of Time was a VR game, and it was basically The Edge of Reality, but VR. So, I've got to give credit that they put The Edge of Time into everyone else's hands that doesn't have VR. So, I've got to give credit there, but gameplay-wise, yeah, it was just... Well, gameplay-wise and aesthetically-wise, it was just lacking in, like, so many areas. Plus, like, the story of it was just, like, not interesting, especially when you've got Jodie's doctor just constantly telling you stuff that you just do not care about, because they're not showing you anything. They're just telling you what you need to care about, but you actually just don't. I mean, it might help if, like, you had like a connection to her in her like Doctor Who on-screen performance, but I never had a connection to her, and unless they do something drastic, I don't think I ever will, honestly. Well, if someone else wrote her, maybe I would, but because Chris Chibnall helmed Doctor Who, sadly, just could not do it. So, that is going to be it for this video, honestly. I honestly did not expect it to be this short. I was expecting it to be at least 40 minutes to an hour long. I mean, it might still be that long, but for now, that's it. So thank you so much for watching me talk about these sort of Doctor Who games. As you already know, I'm definitely a Doctor Who fan, and like, as much as I want to see the show succeed, I also want to see a good Doctor Who game. And to be fair, I don't know if we will ever get a good Doctor Who game. So far it's been okay, kind of mediocre at best, but we haven't had a really, really, really good Doctor Who game just yet. And even though I say that Destiny of the Doctors is not a really good Doctor Who game, it's just my favourite. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed me talking about Doctor Who and the Doctor Who video games, then please do leave a like. And I mean, I have actually been thinking about doing a separate video on the Doctor Who Edge of Reality game, and I might still do that, probably, but I think I've said briefly what I needed to say. But if you would like me to go in depth about Doctor Who The Edge of Reality and what I really feel about the game, then please do comment down that you would like me to do a review on that. But alas, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, everyone. Hello there, my name is Volts, and if you don't know me, then you should. Hello there, my name is Volts, and I love Doctor Who. If you don't know me, then you should shit my pants. Hello, my name is Volts. Shit, cock. What am I doing? Oh my god.